Hi mamas, Emily here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today's video is going to be a short and sweet one. We are going to be discussing strategies to keep your baby awake while breastfeeding. Without further ado, let's go. Yes, yes, and yes. This is completely normal for babies to do, especially when they are newborns. Mama's breasts are a source of comfort, warmth, snuggles, as well as nourishment. So it can be really easy for a baby to be so relaxed while they're nursing that they just drift right off for a nap, sometimes even right in the middle of a feeding. The reason why I am discussing this topic today is that your baby consistently falling asleep at the breast may get in the way of them taking in proper nourishment and adequate calories. There is a difference between your baby falling asleep towards the end of a feeding, or when they're already full and maybe they're just doing some comfort nursing or just hanging out at the breast, and them falling asleep at the beginning or middle of a nursing session. It is perfectly acceptable for your baby to take in a full feeding and then drift off for a nap once their belly is full. But what can be a problem though is that if your baby is falling asleep within the first few minutes of nursing, this can cause cluster feeding later on in the day, or them sometimes even getting up more at night to get in more calories that they had missed in the previous sessions that were cut short. All right, so let's talk about some strategies to keep your baby awake long enough to get that full feeding in. You can try undressing your baby down to either a diaper, maybe just some light clothing. If they're in light clothing, then you don't need to put a blanket over them or anything. If they're dressed down to a diaper, then I would recommend just laying a light blanket over them so they're not too chilly. If you have a baby in a sleeper as well as a swaddle, that is just too comfy for them. That's the perfect environment for them to fall asleep while nursing. So we want them not to be cold, but we just don't want them to be super, super warm and snuggly and content. In terms of environment, try to minimize distractions for your newborn. You would think that in a light room with lots of maybe background noise or music that would keep your newborn awake, but it is actually the opposite. For newborns, we want to try to minimize distractions and minimize stimulation. The more stimulation there is, the more overwhelmed they get, and they deal with that by just falling asleep. So for newborns, you might want to try nursing in a dim room and lowering the volume on the TV, or lowering the volume on your phone. Now, if you have a little bit of an older baby, then you do want to try nursing in a well-lit room with maybe a little bit of background noise. That will help to stimulate them. But for newborns, minimize distractions and stimulation. For older babies, a little bit of stimulation and distraction is a-okay to keep them awake. Another thing you can try to keep your baby awake while nursing is tickling their feet, underneath their arms, underneath their chin. You can even tickle behind their ear, or run a finger down the back of their spine. That will help kind of stimulate them and keep them a little bit more awake and alert. If your baby starts to take longer breaks than say 10 to 15 seconds between active sucking, then one thing you can try is either breast compressions or breast massage. The breast compressions will help to restart the flow of milk and hopefully get your baby back to that active nursing or active sucking. Another thing you can try is to have a cool wet washcloth nearby when you start the nursing session. If your baby starts to get drowsy or sleepy, you can run that cool washcloth along their hairline or just rub it against like their cheek. That is another thing that will help stimulate them a little bit and keep them a little bit more alert. You can also try to gently massage the crown of your baby's head to keep them interested and keep them alert. If all the previous tactics are not working, one thing you can also try is called switch nursing. Switch nursing is essentially when you switch breasts as soon as your baby starts losing interest in one or stops actively nursing. So if you're doing the breast compressions and the breast massage and your baby is still not actively nursing, you can unlatch them and then switch them to the other side, and that will restart the flow of milk and hopefully keep them more alert and interested. But if your baby starts losing interest in this side, stops actively sucking, even after you're doing breast compressions, breast massage, you unlatch them, switch them to the other side, and then just repeat that process. If your baby does happen to fall asleep while nursing, and believe me, there will be times where you try everything in the book and your baby still falls asleep. If that is the case, then here are some strategies to help wake your baby up before switching to the other side. If you just finished nursing on one side, before switching to the other side, to wake your baby up, it will be a good idea to burp them. Not only will this get air bubbles out of their tummy to make room for more milk, but this can help to wake them up a little bit. What I do recommend though is that you burp them sitting up in your lap instead of over your shoulder. Burping them over your shoulder is just a little bit too relaxing to them and may induce sleep even more. If your baby is still asleep after burping them, what you can do is lay them down on a firm, flat surface. The transfer of that from your warm chest or your shoulder down to the floor or wherever that firm flat surface is, that transfer may help to wake them up a little bit and remind them that they are still in fact hungry. Once they're down on that firm flat surface, you can try talking to them a little bit, maybe doing a little bit of massage or a tickling. All those things may help to wake them up and get them a little bit more alert. You can also try undressing your baby just down to a diaper or changing them out of a swaddle into cool light clothing. This would also be a great time to do a diaper change. Doing a diaper change is an excellent way to wake your baby up and get them more alert. Like I mentioned previously, it is very, very normal for both older babies and newborns to fall asleep while nursing. I do want to insert just a word of caution though, that if you have an older baby who is consistently falling asleep at the breast at the beginning of a feeding, I would just investigate the possibility of them having a lip and or tongue tie. It is very common for tied babies to lose endurance during a feeding and then just drift off for a nap before they get their tummies full of milk. This is definitely not the case for every baby. You might just have a very, very, very sleepy baby who just loves falling asleep while nursing, but it is very common for babies who have lip or tongue ties to fall asleep at the beginning of a feeding. So I did just want to insert that word of caution there to maybe investigate that further if it seems like that could be a possibility. Okay mamas, that is all from me today. If you liked any part of the video or found it helpful or informational, would you please give it a thumbs up? I would really appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos from me, please be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell notification so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!